thanks for joining me. You and I have had a number of conversations about what leadership understands in terms of the innovation ecosystem, and frankly, the fact that they really don't understand or know about the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL. So let me provide a little bit of background. Started in the 70s as the Solar Energy Research Institute, became a national lab in 1991, solely focused on energy efficiency and renewable energy innovation and partnering with companies to get those innovations in the marketplace at speed and scale. Facilities, knowledge, capabilities for more than the 45 years represent more than 17 billion of investment, mostly by the US government. And we're excited to reach out to more CEOs and more companies in order to help us all achieve our bold ambitions for decarbonization and energy transition. Why should business prioritize and invest in developing and meeting energy goals?
I think managers of companies have this sense that clean is important. Some people have it as a sense that it's important for branding purposes. And if branding is what you want, then obviously that's something that sustainable and clean is, can help you get there. I think the other thing, though, that tends to be missed by many people is that we're at a point now where clean is becoming cheaper than dirty. And dirty is more about habit than it is about a good, firm business decision. These companies all got into their energy mess one project at a time, one purchase at a time. And it's really hard sitting on this pile of this company that has been assembled over tens of years, 20, 30, 40 decades. It's hard to sit on top of that sort of a company and figure out, how do I optimize this company? And that's a place where I think the NREL can be very helpful for companies.
So in some sense, it's a bit of understanding legacy and understanding the challenges of the energy transition to as you termed it, clean energy future, right? And so part of that, of course, falls in this realm of carbon management. So that's a very broad term. It's only two words that I think describe a huge landscape of climate mitigation, decarbonization technologies, et cetera. How should CEOs think about setting carbon goals, decarbonization goals, clean energy agenda goals under this rubric of carbon management?
Well, I think carbon management you're right, it's two simple words. And those simple words, people can make them very complex very quickly. And they can make them complex by talking about whether you manage your own carbon footprint or whether you manage the carbon footprint of your customers by the product that you sell, like the cars that you sell, or whether you manage the carbon footprint of your suppliers. I mean, where do you take all this responsibility? How much is it your responsibility and how much is it someone else's? Now, ultimately it's a giant accounting problem that all has to add up. But I think what we have to do is we have to figure out where we can take the cheapest steps and the easiest steps and start taking steps rather than getting frozen in all the accounting that many people will get you into when they talk about carbon management.
So, I mean, this comes back to the purview from the CEO's perspective, which is there's a goal, there may be investor pressure, there's certainly government push, sometimes lots of carrots, as in here in the United States, sometimes sticks. But the key from a CEO's perspective is, how do I manage the transition of my current asset base toward a clean future while also assuring financial returns and financial viability? Let's talk a little bit about the engagement of NREL and businesses. I mentioned at the front end that NREL's role is to partner with industry to accelerate the innovations that happen in the lab and the lab complex with partners to commercial speed and scale. So we've been working on this for many decades and have hundreds of partnerships, nearly 1,000 partnerships with commercial entities in order to really implement that, shall we call it, reinvention. What I call innovation ecosystems that are much more tightly coupled between inventors, startups, strategic partners, investors, and government. Give us some thoughts on that, because most CEOs think about innovation kind of within their realm.
Well, this is why I really always like getting back to systems. I think there are two levels of innovation. There's technological innovation, and then there's business model innovation. And I don't think there are many CEOs out there that want to themselves, because they're not in the business, of taking technology innovation risk. Some of them do, and that's fine, as long as it has a better context that that fits in and it fits into an existing business model. But where every CEO can play is in business model innovation. And business model innovation happens not because they're going out and investing in some technology that's not yet ready for market. It can happen because they're going out and combining technologies that are ready for market.
Yeah, I understand that it's really important to think creatively on the business model side, assuming you're a non-regulated entity. I think on the CEO front, the small innovative startups are certainly more about bringing new technologies to bear and business model innovation at the same time. We work with hundreds of them through our innovation entrepreneurship programs and bring those through the laboratory, applying engineering expertise, science expertise, and the facilities to actually de-risk those technologies. Those, I can imagine, could be an enormous opportunity for CEOs to harvest. One, to have visibility to what's coming down the pike. Goes back to Michael Porter's five forces, right? What's the competitive nature or, frankly, the acquisition opportunity coming forward, right? But you don't do that without being part of the ecosystem. You and I have both heard the Secretary of Energy and many other officials say the national labs are the crown jewel of science and innovation for the country. Why don't CEOs understand that they can work with the national laboratories? I think the perception is that those are government entities, they only do government work. How should they approach and think differently about engaging, particularly with NREL, which is on this forefront of the clean energy transition?
The crown jewel metaphor is also appropriate. Yes, it is the crown jewel for the entire country, but it belongs to the country as well. And what your efforts are now pointed towards is how do you work with CEOs and the C-suite of each company to take that national asset that you've really worked hard to develop and enable them to be a much better competitor on the world stage.
CEOs have to keep their ball on the innovation side of that equation as well. So how do CEOs best leverage the national lab ecosystem in order to be engaged in the innovation ecosystem while, of course, they're ramping through this energy transition, taking advantage of IRA tax credits and
Sure.
other provisions?
But they need to understand that they can use NREL to help them do that techno-economic analysis, because, just think of what I just said. The IRA makes clean hydrogen cheaper than electricity. In fact, there's certain models where hydrogen goes negative. It doesn't cost you anything, you get paid total for everything. If you do not understand how that is the case, then you've got a problem, and this is where NREL can come in. So Doug, you asked me what I thought. Where do you think the biggest and highest uses for NREL are, and what are the best examples that you can have right now? Because you know what you can talk about better than I.
NREL's got depth all the way from molecules to markets. We've got abilities to invent new chemistries, new technologies, new approaches to devices, but more importantly, understanding how those devices operate in systems, whether or not that system's a power system, a building, a car, a truck, et cetera. We also have this full suite of very deep, unique analytic models which help the country, for example, understand where EV charging stations need to be, or help a community like Los Angeles understand what their programs need to be in order to achieve their 100% clean energy goals, including electrification and electric mobility. On the CEO front, on the corporate front, we have partnerships that stem everywhere from plastics recycling and renewable fuels, sustainable aviation fuels with fuel providers and the airlines, and of course, fully across the suite of the power systems and the mobility system.
What are you most excited about when you go into a CEO's office and talk to them about what you think that NREL can deliver for them?
We're most excited about the opportunity for strategic alignment. So helping in the near term with, I call them high priority projects, but more importantly, aligning on this trajectory of bringing cutting edge innovation to scale in the marketplace and helping them both with their technology transformation, but how that technology helps transform the business. So the smart CEOs and the boards that we host, hundreds of them per year, are coming to us looking for strategic engagement for longevity and transformation of their company to make sure it's part of the zero carbon or net zero carbon energy economy in the future.